Hello, it's Armstrong here from Madai Miniatures, and I wanted to talk about bases. How we know, well, this isn't too appealing to anyone, and if you just glue a miniature to that, it's gonna look kind of silly on the battlefield. Yeah, and most of us, just throw some sand or some grass on it, and it's look decent, don't get me wrong. But I like to have something a bit better. I like to add flair to my bases, so I work a lot with plastic art and other materials. Oh, this is too white. Yes, so I make something like that. It's kind of industrial terrain base. You can beat it up a little bit and it's gonna look like something that fits perfectly into 40k or Necromunda universe. Well, this is Dreadnought size base, and after casting and painting this, you have something. Well, painting, this is just a undercoat. You have something like that. It's really show nicely. But yeah, so let's talk what we need to make a base looking somewhat similar to that one. Well, first of all, we need some bases, so I just have those oval ones, so I'm gonna be using them. Then it would be, next thing, plastic art. And I have this plastic art and some, well, oh my goodness, I'm lost for words. Some diamond plated plastic art and even smaller version of those. Oh, yeah, it show up. That's nice. And as well, I have a ton of plastic art rods, and well, you see this is what you get when you order some packages. This is this packaging tape. It's look lovely as a diamond plating, yeah, so cheap. And of course plenty of rods and other shapes. If you think that you don't have any plastic art in your local area, think again. If you have any supermarket around, they probably have gift cards. And gift cards are very easy and very cheap way of getting plastic art. And the next thing that I love to use are zip ties. It doesn't show well on the video, but in here we have lovely texture that definitely fit into 40k or Necromunda-esque battlefield. And of course I like pipes, like everyone, so guitar string, usually G string, metal one. Yeah, I always have a little bit of that on hand. So now let's talk about tools. First, every crafter's favorite tool, giant scissors. Yeah. Next one, clippers. Not too clean clippers though. Next one, of course, we need something to cut with, so X-Acto knife. And for more detailed cuts, I don't always use it, but I have it on hand, micro saw. I like this one because it can just get everywhere. And drills. I like my step drill. Well, it's not really attached, but it still works, so that's fine. And next, hand drill. And then of course all of the files you can get. Yeah. So file, and more files. Yeah, they are always handy and useful. And sometimes we need to measure stuff, so yeah. Well, and of course, from materials, beatbox, one of them anyway. You can always throw some skulls or something onto your base. And finally but not least, clamps. They always help you with your work. They are probably one of the most handy tools ever. And if you are bored, you can play with them. Oh my god, that just sounds so bad. Yeah, and of course we need some glue. So a pound shop, brand super glue. Then for the thin glue, I like a Mr. Cement. This is a black tinted glue, so you always see where you glue your pieces, because the color of the glue gonna actually go around the piece, so you're not gonna know it is properly glued together. And this is just regular Mr. Cement. It's just, for a stronger bonds if I want them. So let's start with a plain base. To begin with, I always like to adhere my base to plastic art. I don't like working on these wooden bases, and even Games Workshop bases are not ideal for me, so I always like to just raise them a little bit. It's only 1 millimeter thick, so no massive disadvantage during the what do you call it, cover checks. So apply liberal amount of super glue, and I forgot to mention it's gonna be somewhat of a tutorial style video, so sorry for that. And glue it together. And of course we need a napkin just to get rid of any excess, because we don't want our tools to be covered in super glue. And our fingers. Yep. And then we need to close the super glue, because that's probably just one more time that we're going to be using this during this video. And then we need to cut it out of the plastic art. Alright. And of course trimming it. Trying not to cut the wood, because it's just annoying. So yeah, this of course gonna leave a lot of plastic art scraps that can be later on used in making some sort of, I don't know, rubble on the battlefield. And then with nippers, just you can go closer and just almost get proper edge. Of course, how we all know, making anything with a plastic card or with bases, any scratch building gonna require sanding. Sanding is unavoidable part of a scratch builder life, and well, yeah, you just simply cannot avoid that. So just clean the table now. And yeah, we have this, and of course our trusty sanding stick. This is roughly about 40% of my time scratch building spent on sanding. Yeah, and it's not the best sound in the world as well. Probably on the camera it's gonna be even worse. Oh, can I nip it off, because I still feel it? Yeah. There we go. And now we have roughly prepared base for starting our project. Of course, a good idea with any plastic art is just to rough the surface a little bit, so it's gonna take a plastic glue better. Now, since I want it to be somewhat industrial kind of terrain, I like to use a zip tie, like I said. It's just lovely material. It can be representing some sort of, I don't know, conduit or grading on the street. So my plan is to divide the base in two. I want to make a footpath in here, so it's gonna be sort of a brick-ish. I know that most of people will say that, 40k bricks doesn't really work. Well, in my imagination it works. There's gonna be definitely old parts of the cities or better preserved parts of the cities where brickwork are gonna be there, or maybe, you know, even covered by stuff. And in here, some sort of plating. Maybe some pipes. Don't know yet exactly. You know, when I'm building bases, it's always just throwing stuff together and, you know, looking at what's exactly it turned out to be. So this is probably the last time I'm gonna have to use super glue. So yeah, okay, again, we need to sand down a little bit here. Just, I know with super glue catch everything, but, well, yeah, sanding, like I said. Biggest part of the hobby. And of course, apply super glue, trying not to glue your own fingers to the part, and just maybe over here, just glue it. And again, working with super glue, napkin, just clean it up so you don't have the issue with your fingerprints being forever in your base. And close the super glue, because yeah, spilling it on the mat is not a great idea. So we have this now. I think that making two different layers of height would be nice, but first I like to add something out of this little box, and that's gonna be this. It's a half rod. You can get them from Greenstab World. If I'm completely right, I think that I got them from there. But yeah, since I got those, my game changed a little bit, because, well, they really work with everything. Yeah, so you have some sort of pipe, and of course, to glue it, just grab maybe the thicker one. Since I don't have to really hold it, I can just make a boring line of glue and glue it. Now I want to add a different height to the base here. Not much of it, because it's only 1 mil again. So I'm gonna just grab my scissors and cut a bit of it, bigger than I need. And again, just put it here. I think that that's all right. I don't see a reason not to put it there. And just eye it where you want to have a glue. Yeah. And glue it together. How you can see, there is a lot of excess. I usually have a ton of it. This is how I do it. You can pre-measure it, you can cut it to proper size, but it's gonna slow your progress. So yeah, that's my reasoning, and I'm gonna stick to it. Yeah, because, well, a lazy builder. Now I want to add some textures. So I have this, like I said, lovely, very tiny grate. So I just gonna glue it here, and this is probably the one that I save, because, well, I have only one sheet of it at home, and ordering it and waiting for it is a pain. So just a pencil, which doesn't want to work on this. Oh, okay. So yeah, pencil, and just draw the outline with leaving yourself at least 1 mil spare, so you can then trim it. Yeah, and we're gonna cut it. So yeah, of course not perfectly, because reasons. So I have this, and I know that it's big enough to fit where I want it, so I can now just secure it to the base. So I know that the green pencil is useless. And let's just go. And oops, come on. And well, somewhat secure. We of course have to wait a minute or two for the glue to actually bond properly. It's not a super glue. And then let's just check if this one is already, yeah, it's holding nicely, so I can take my clippers and clean it. Well, that definitely was a too big piece. Yep. Oh, no, it's just shadow. Yeah. So. And yeah, flying pieces. And now, of course, I want some other textures. So this, like I said, it's a lovely diamond shape. And well, it's a little bit too small to cover entire size of it. But yeah, I can work with it. And I was lying when I said that I'm gonna need super glue only for that one. Turn out that I need super glue for this as well. But simple reasoning is this is a different material, and plastic glue do actually work on it, but it works very, very slowly and connection is quite flimsy. So yep. And of course, measuring to don't overspill the super glue, because then it's gonna be just a nightmare for the further work. And that's it. And just glue it in place. And our handy clamp gonna be helping us here. Then catch the scissors and just cut out the excess. My scissors aren't the sharpest ones. Yep. So we have this done, and now I'm just thinking that this little part of bare plastic in here doesn't look too good, to be completely honest, and well, with this bright light it's barely visible anyway. But I have some sort of other rods, so I'm just gonna take a square-ish piece of plastic and just make a next. That's small. Maybe I have something bigger, wider I mean. And just attach it to this, just to give it some sort of finish. It's not perfect, but it is, you know, just a small finishing touch that's gonna make the base look a little bit better. And of course, while you're holding it, clip it off. It's not gonna be hanging. So now this should be somewhat dry, so we can trim it. I hope that this video ain't gonna turn out to be about an hour long, because then I'm gonna have a ton of editing to do. And that's how it looks so far. So the last part is to make bricks, and well, for this base, quite a lot of them. Well, not last one, what I'm talking about. We need to make the bricks, we need to glue them to the base, and then we go back to sanding. So yeah. So for making bricks, we utilize our best friend, plastic card. Yeah. And then, so how to do it, I think that everyone already knows, but yeah, we just need to get a straight edge, so just cut off whatever piece of plastic card you have, just cut off the uneven edge and snap it. And then, well, since this is a brick, you really don't need exactly the same size pieces. You know, on one line here, when you're going to be laying the lines, it would be nice to have exactly the same size, but if you just eyeball it, it's not a crime. Yeah, it's gonna still work. Like on some bases I have 3 or 4 different sizes and they still work quite well for me. So you can break off every single one separately or just prepare for yourself a couple lines of them. That's too thick. That's about what I want. Oh, come on. And then just again just snap it out. So 1 and 3. I know that I'm gonna have to cut this video. I struggle here, and of course in here just don't want to work for me. So snap. Of course, so yes, you have some strips, and you know. Okay, sorry about the jump cut, my phone just ran out of memory. So now that you have the planks, yeah, you can start working on making, well, this is definitely too thick, on making a bricks. Yeah, of course, simple way is just to get your X-Acto knife and cut. Yeah, and then you can measure and cut again. But thanks God I'm lucky enough to have chopper, so it's gonna help me a lot to make it faster. Yeah. Oh, a lot of plastic pieces. And yeah, this is gonna help me make straight cuts, because when it comes to straight cuts I'm horrible. I never get them right. So I will cut this and come back to you. So now that you have your bricks ready, you have to decide how do you want to put them. Do you want to put them diagonally or in some sort of shapes? Like, I don't know, maybe 2 in one direction, 2 in the other, or just straight. And I'm voting today for being lazy and going straight, because this is probably the simplest one and looks very decent. So yeah, let's just start applying the bricks. Of course, glue is a necessary part of that. So 1 layer of glue, hopefully it ain't gonna dry under the light too quickly, and then just apply your bricks. Even with my sausage fingers, I know that I'm covering everything, but you can do this very, very quickly without any issues. Oh, come on, this one doesn't want to stock. Nice. Right. Okay, the glue did get dry too quickly. And now I need a smaller piece just to fill this area here. And since I'm not really trusting that that glue is holding because the light is just too strong, I just gonna add my little helper just around the edge. And in here. And I'm really well, I really use much more of this glue than I need, but yeah. So again, next layer, and now it's nice to just, oh, sorry for covering everything with my hand. So I'm just gonna use more glue. Hopefully it ain't gonna dry that fast. Now it's gonna be nice to just make a brick-ish pattern, so go, you know, in the middle. So yeah, just in here. It's usually much faster with your knife than with your fingers, because if you have fresh and sharp X-Acto knife, it's gonna be picking those pieces very easily. And of course I need another half piece, well, no, even less than a half, just some glue. No, come on. Yeah, that's the problem with the edges, but I left enough gaps so I can squeeze it a little bit. Oh, come on, be nice to me. And there we have a second layer. And this is probably now the one of the fastest processes in the world. Since you already have the bricks pre-cut, just repeat the process. This time around I will just show the entire process, but I really don't know what to talk about. So yeah. The plastic glue is nice because it allows you to move the pieces while you apply them. With super glue you need to have very steady hands to just apply the piece wherever you want it, because it's usually just gonna contact and straight away dry. Not really dry, but just hold it in spots. So yeah, this saves you a lot of time. And leaving bigger or smaller gaps, of course, depends on you. I like to usually make them very small, but I think that for video purposes I just make them a little bit bigger so they can be visible. And of course my cat hair got stuck in this. Okay. And half piece, and almost halfway through this. Again, more glue, and I hope that I cut enough pieces. Now I have something thicker, so this gonna look nice. Right. And next layer. You can see it's really nothing complicated, just rinse and repeat. And of course, to fill up the ends I have some scrap pieces, so just cut it. And I need to make a little bit more space for it, because otherwise it's just gonna fall off when I'm gonna be sanding. And hopefully that's enough. And next line. This doesn't even need a full piece. I have a scrap in here that was left for cutting it. So again, just push this, give myself some more space to work, and it's done. So that's how it looks. It was very fast process to do, and now I just need to wait for the glue to dry a little bit. So I'll be back when this happens. So now when the glue is, well, drier or dry, well, it was almost dry, so I just snap it off, which is my mistake. Just glue it back. I need to remember about this one, to leave it for last. We can start cleaning the base. Of course, from the bottom we can see exactly. So just grab your nippers and yep, that's the other side. Just cut it off to the size of the base. Well, some people like to have this kind of overhanging pieces, but I don't really enjoy them. Alright, that's the offending piece, so the other way around. Come on. Now just holding this because it's still moving, and yes, flying piece, like always. Clean your desk. And the last part is our favorite. This is my favorite, I guess. Well, to be honest, I don't complain that much. It's almost therapeutic. Sanding. Yeah, just getting this edge to look nice. Yes, and if you work with Games Workshop bases, you will look for this little bit of a slant. Yes, well, just nicely slated edge to the middle. If you don't, you just... Oh yeah, sorry for the shaking. I just completely forgot that I'm holding my hands on the desk, and yeah. And you just want to finish the edge. I think that I have some sharper, but smaller. Oh yes, definitely better sandpaper. And of course you can define some lines. And we're almost at the end of this video. This is gonna happen to you once in a while, when one of the pieces just pop out, especially during sanding. So you just take your glue and fix it. Yeah. Again, it's not rocket science, it's just our hobby. Yeah. You can avoid that usually by just sanding towards the base. But, well, I'm impatient. I like to have everything done a little bit faster than it should be done. Yeah, but, well, in this, you know, there are no skipping steps. You always have to do this just to make your base look presentable. And here we have finished base. Yeah. It's gonna look lovely under your war bike, or I don't know what else you can put on that, probably some monster or something. Of course, you can apply all of those techniques to any other bases. And that's it for today, so everyone have a lovely day and hopefully see you with the next video. Take care.